Bambino ancora bailar, bailar. Plop, plop. Yes. It's like, why are you speaking English when you poop?
Speaking kind of slow. Get ready. Here we go.
Come on now, baby, it's Haven Rich.
Big motherfucking rich.
Now it's time to get down with that slow English. Speaking kind of slow so you can understand. Two sexy men gonna treat you right.
Baby boy, big motherfucking rich.
Teach you talk, baby, all day, all night.
All day, all night. Baby boy.
Yeah, that's right.
Motherfucking rich.
Oh, shit. Oops, wrong button.
That's all right. Ooh, fired up again.
Yes.
Goodness.
Hello, Big Rich.
What's up, everybody?
I'm sorry I didn't make it yesterday. You invited me
To the picnic.
to a picnic.
Yeah.
I saw the pictures.
Yeah.
It looked very, very lovely. Your wife is somewhat of a professional
Yes.
chef.
Yes.
So I guess she does the picnic.
She does the
Really
picnic
well.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always have really nice food. From meats to cheeses to breads. Rye bread this time.
Since especially living with
Ah.
your wife, have you developed any new foods that you like? Is there any new foods that you like that she's got you into?
Yeah, a lot of like nama ham.
Oh, cured ham,
And cheese. You know me. I didn't-
prosciutto.
Yeah. Prosciutto,
I
things
love
like
it.
that. Yeah.
I love it.
Cheese a bit.
I'm a big fan so far. Prosciutto and cheese.
Yeah, I mean, I like it too.
I like the one that's like a little dry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's all
the,
good.
the high quality one.
It's all good, dude.
You get them. You know, I've been to Italy.
Yeah.
No, it was actually really cool. Pompeii was really cool.
Right.
Some cool old traditional stuff. Not so friendly though. Not very friendly.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah. People were not very nice. Anyway, though, one highlight of the trip was going to the Italian supermarket because my family rented like an Airbnb, and we did most of our cooking.
Right.
And so we'd go to the supermarket, and they have the cured ham.
Right.
It's like a whole section,
Right. With different kinds and stuff.
all different cured hams.
Nice.
And you order, okay, babadadida, I'll try that one. And, you know, I'm trying to speak Italian, like 300 grams of the Parma,
Right.
por favore, you know? And then they slice it for you right in front of you.
Yeah.
And they just wrap it in that paper and
Nice.
give it to you. Very affordable and
Right.
very
Okay.
delicious.
Okay.
So we were eating tons of cured ham
That's awesome.
when we were in Italy.
Yeah, my wife also was very appreciative of both the things your father brought for us.
Oh, the fish.
The fish and the salmon. The first was the salmon, the second was the fish.
Yeah, well, they're both
Well,
fish.
yeah, they're both fish. Oh, yeah.
You got it. You got it. You know, today
Yes.
is our friend's birthday.
Who?
Mike.
Mike's
Yeah.
birthday. Happy birthday,
Yeah,
Mike.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's our friend Mike's birthday.
May 20-something, 26, 7th.
And talking about this, Italy, etc., reminded me of a funny story he told me.
What's that?
He was in the toilet.
As all funny stories start.
It was in a airport. I think it was like Bangkok or
Okay, so far,
some big airport.
prosciutto, nama ham, and toilet.
Right. Anyway, it's coming. So he's in a big airport, so international airport. I can't remember where. I think maybe Bangkok. And he's in the toilet, and he's got to poop. Like, nobody likes to poop in a public toilet, but you got to do what you got to do, right?
Right.
It's the airport.
Yeah.
And he's in the stall, and he hears this Italian guy come into the bathroom,
Right.
and he's speaking very loudly
Right.
on his phone. And he's, he's Italian. So it's like, and comes and sits in the stall
Like
next to Mike.
Right.
And he said the guy was even in the stall talking on the phone. And then he poops. Bloop, 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 bloop. And Mike's just listening to this guy, the guy poops. And then he says, yes.
Yes.
So he's like, plop, plop. Yes. It's like, why are you speaking English when you poop? Why don't you say bada cheetah? Like something in Italian is like, just when he poops, he's like, yes. And who says that when they poop?
I know.
In a public toilet and poop, and you go, yes.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, gosh.
That's a good one.
Like, really, every time he tells that story, it cracks me up. Yes. Anyway, Rich, enough about poop.
Okay.
We have got a question.
Uh-oh.
Badabadida.
Hey. Oh, yeah, yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. More questions. Yes. Oh, badabida, God. More questions. Oh, yes. Okay, all right. All right.
What's the next question? What noise do you make when you use the toilet? I switched to Japanese.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. Got another question here. Again from our friend in Hiroshima.
Okay.
Now, she went and lived in America
Oh, okay.
in junior high school
Ah.
for a couple years.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Do you know where?
I can't remember.
Okay.
But she said that in her junior high school in America, the time that classes started
Right.
was very strange.
Okay.
It would be like 8:23. And the length of the classes was also kind of random. It was like around 45 minutes, but some classes would be 41 minutes and other classes would be 47 minutes.
That's weird.
Yeah. And you had to run from class to class.
Right.
And she's wondering, like, is that normal?
I went to private schools. That would not be the case.
You went to private schools?
Yeah.
Wow, fancy boy.
Yeah, that's right, baby. Only
Right.
the best for me. No, I went to private, like, Catholic schools from kindergarten through high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So were there girls in your school?
Yeah. My elementary school was also my junior high school, so I just went kindergarten to 8th grade, same building, fully co-ed.
Co-ed meaning boys and girls
Yes.
together, yeah.
The high school I went to had just combined with a high school literally across the street, like 3-4 years before I entered. And that was like boys' school, girls' school combining to be co-ed.
Oh, okay.
And the times were quite strict. And I just remember my first year freshmen are at the smaller school, which was the girls' school. second, third, fourth, sophomore, junior, senior are at the bigger school, but sometimes you have to go to the other school. And so I remember the 10 minutes between class, you'd have to run to the other school.
So there are two schools across the street from each other, and they became one school.
Yes.
So you'd have kids running across the street all the time.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was
Seems
difficult.
like a bad idea.
Yeah. Because it was quite like 8 to 8:50, 9 to 9:50, 10 to 10:50.
Okay, so and with a 10-minute break.
Yeah. And then that 10 minutes, if you had to run, you had to run to the other school.
So it was pretty normal times. Like start at 8, next class 9, next class 10.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it was a strict school.
A strict school. Okay. And the times were normal.
Yeah.
So in my experience in Canada,
Right.
it was same as she's saying.
That doesn't make sense though. How does that work?
Very strange
Yeah.
times.
Are
I
you
think my first class started at like 8:23.
It's weird.
Yeah. And every class was like super long.
Right.
So our classes were like an hour and 15 minutes.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah. And there was only 4 classes a day. So you'd have 3
Right.
and then lunch and then 1 after lunch. It seems like in my school, the education system was like experimenting
Could be.
with these really long classes. And you'd have only 4 classes a day and you'd have the same classes every day.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. So half the year is one semester, and then the second half is the other semester. You have completely different classes. So you complete the entire year in half a year.
Right. But you're only taking half the classes, so you take the other half the next semester.
Half, yeah. So you might have,
Like no math the first semester.
exactly. You'd have like English, math, art,
Right.
and PE or something
Right.
for the first half of the year. And then the second half of the year, you have like completely different classes.
Ah, that is experimental. No, I had the same subject.
And they were long, hour and 15 minutes a class. I'm pretty sure it was a bad system.
Really?
But it's just stupid having such long classes
Right.
for teenagers.
Right. They can't handle it.
Anyway,
Did all you have was just one lunch break? Because I believe in high school I had like a 20-minute morning break where the whole school was on a break, and then they would half the lunches. So there was 2 lunch periods. Half the kids would be the first period, half the kids would be the second period.
oh, really?
Yeah. So I think it was something like, just imagine 8 to 9, 9 to 10, whole school is break from 10 to 10:30. Then next is 10:30 to 11:30. Then 11:30, first lunch starts. Half the school's eating lunch to 12:30. 12:30, the other half of the school's eating lunch.
Interesting.
Something like that.
So there would be 2 different lunch periods.
Yes.
And depending on your schedule, you're either the first or the second.
Yes.
Wow. And I guess that prevents too many kids trying to eat at the same time.
Yeah, because my high school would have been about 1,200 students.
Yeah, mine was about the same. Yeah.
Technically, we're not allowed to leave the schoolyard. Probably people snuck out a little bit, but mostly people followed the rules.
You know, in my high school, there was a designated smoking area,
That's hilarious.
like where they said, if you're going to smoke, you have to go there. And it was like accepted.
That's funny. Nah.
Yeah.
nothing like that.
And it was on school property. No. And the reason why was because if they didn't have that, you'd have kids smoking cigarettes in front of like people's houses or in the neighborhood.
Right.
And so many people complain
Right.
that the school made an area for smoking.
That's funny.
And it was called the smoke pit. So people who smoked would go out to the smoke pit.
That's interesting that parents didn't get angry at that.
Well,
I mean, I understand the reasoning, but I also would
I don't
be
know
like,
if they knew about
yeah.
it.
Like, also, if I was a parent, I'd be like, wait a minute, hold on. You're condoning this?
So like
Because-
the bad kind of badass kids would
Yeah.
always be at the smoke pit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, but if you're a parent, I don't know.
I don't know, but it was a big problem. Without that smoke pit, the kids would just be like going anywhere and smoking.
Right.
And like the neighborhood people because it was in a residential neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah.
My high school was downtown, so next to some pretty busy, nasty streets.
Oh, downtown San Francisco.
Yeah.
So they're like, don't don't go out.
Yeah, they didn't really want
Stay here.
Yeah,
Don't go outside.
for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would always leave. We'd go to the store. We'd go to McDonald's. We'd walk somewhere for lunch.
No, we were locked.
Or when I
down.
got a car, you drive somewhere. And I crashed the car on my lunch break.
No, we were
Smashed into 3 different trees. Whap, bap, bap.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's a bad accident, bro.
Destroyed the car.
I would
completely.
imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, why were you driving on the sidewalk?
I was not driving on the sidewalk. I was driving too fast and it was raining.
Oops.
And then I turned suddenly and the car started spinning around in circles. And then I went over the sidewalk and whap, hit a couple trees.
Wow,
Yeah.
nobody was injured.
Luckily, no one was injured. Well, yeah, we were all injured.
Yeah,
I mean, not badly.
yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you can't use your left arm there, Abe.
We were all injured. We were all injured. We all went to the hospital.
No,
Memories.
indeed,
Yeah.
indeed.
Hold on. There's one more question. There's one more question. Oh, okay. And this is kind of a good one, too. So, in Japan, in a polite situation or even just kind of a normal way to address someone is you say their name and sang,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And
Abe-san,
Rich
Lawson-san.
san, Abe-san, Lawson-san. Whereas in English, we have,
Ways of addressing people.
Mr.
Yeah,
for men, Miss for women.
yeah,
And then it gets a little confusing,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Then we also have Mrs.
yeah. For married people,
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
This is a old,
traditional.
right? It's something that now people are wanting to change a little bit. Like a woman, when she's young, is Miss,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And then when she gets married,
She's Mrs.
she's Mrs. and then her husband's last name.
Right.
So she goes from being, Miss Kessel to Mrs. Lawson or whatever, right?
Yes.
So when someone's Mrs., then they're married,
Right.
which already is kind of fucked up.
Right.
Because men are always Mr.
Mr., yeah.
Married, not married,
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're Mr. for your whole life.
It is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, traditionally, women get married young and become Mrs. or whatever.
Right.
But there are people who don't follow
Right.
a traditional way
Right.
and they become Ms.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, could be.
So a woman who's older and not married,
Yeah. Me.
often called Ms.
Yes.
And this is kind of the thing. It's like for a woman, you can tell
Right.
about her personal, kind of life a little bit just from her name,
Or status.
which is not really cool, right?
Right.
It's like everyone should be equal.
Right. And if you've known them for a long time and they used to be Kessel, now they're Lawson, then you know exactly who she's married to.
Right.
Whereas I'm just always Mr. Kessel forever.
Right. And these Mrs. Ms.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of, this listener is just asking, what's that all about?
Yeah.
So we're trying to explain it now. Yeah, they get married. You get married, you become Mrs. If you don't get married, but you're older, then often you'd be called Ms.
Yep.
So if you get divorced or something,
Right.
you go back to your,
You don't have to, though.
yeah. Anyway, it's,
confusing.
yeah, they should just have one
Right.
for women as well, don't you think? Like everyone should just be Miss or Mrs.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it because
It's a traditional
Yeah.
thing that is kind of outdated,
it is kind of outdated,
but we don't know how to change it because it's so,
ingrained
Right.
in our culture.
yeah. I remember my librarian in my elementary school.
Right.
The librarian was Ms.
Really.
and everyone was like, "Oh, she's Ms."
Yeah. It's even, I mean,
that's how I learned it when I was
Yeah.
a child.
yeah.
And
you're
I was
right.
like, "Why is she Ms.?"
You're inculcated
They're
into
like,
it.
"Oh,
for
well,
sure.
because she's not married." And then I was like, "Huh."
Also something maybe interesting that not everybody knows, but then your mother's maiden name is sometimes a security question at like the bank or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, I guess. So your mother's maiden name, meaning her name before she got married to your dad, is often used
Right.
as a way to confirm your identity.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know your name's Kessel.
Yep. But you,
I have no idea what your mother's maiden name
Right.
might
Right.
be. Right? Yeah.
but I always thought of that as like, is it safe in small communities where everybody knows everybody? So you would know everybody's maiden name. It's only safe in larger communities,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
I guess. And also like my mother, she married my dad and became a Lawson.
Right.
And then she divorced my dad and she went back to being
Right.
a Thiessen.
Right. And if she has any sisters and you happen to know your friends' aunts and uncles, well, then you've got it. I mean, if your mom
You mean
had a brother and you invited me to your house and you introduced your uncle to me as Mr. Then now I know your mother's maiden name.
yeah.
So it's not that safe.
It's not a bulletproof security
No.
thing, is it? No. Yeah. But it is often used.
Right.
It's not the only thing used,
Right.
but it is often used.
Right.
They ask you for 5 questions, and that's often one of the questions.
Right. I was intrigued when I was doing the wedding photos because they kept calling my wife bride.
Goshimpu-sama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they kept calling me Kessel-sama. And I'm like, oh, because Japanese doesn't have a Mr. and Mrs. So that if they said Kessel, both of our heads will turn.
Yeah.
So they specifically said bride.
So they'd call her Goshimpu-sama, and
Yes.
they'd call you Kessel-sama.
Kessel-san. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that kind of caught my ear.
Yeah, in Japan, it's much more simple where they
Yeah.
just have the one that you use for everything to show respect. San, right? Or sama to show double respect.
But how does it work if you and your wife are at an event and they want to say you and not her? Do they say Lawson-san Abe? Or do they say...
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if
Question.
you're together, how would they distinguish my wife and I and your wife and I in terms of we both have the same last name?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Don't they get confused?
Yeah.
Lawson-san. And both me and my wife are like, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I've asked
I
students
guess
about
it's
that.
not the perfect answer.
No. I've asked students about that when they were in like high school and things, because like, you know, there's some very common Japanese names, Sato, Watanabe, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, they would just use like first and last name to distinguish between the two different Sato.
Ah, right.
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 Yeah, that's it. I mean, every culture has differences, and sometimes there's benefits and sometimes there's kind of wonky situations.
Yeah, and sometimes traditions are ingrained in language and they create an awkward kind of
Yeah.
situation in the modern world.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
For sure.
why should women have to be Miss and then Mrs. or Ms?
Yeah.
You know, and why should everyone know
Yeah.
their
They've changed. They're
their
married now.
relationship
Yeah.
status
Yeah.
just from their name?
Right.
You know, that's kind of bullshit.
Or
isn't it?
just professionally. I think my sister just kept her ex-husband's last name because she's like, everybody knows me professionally as that, and I don't want to change it again.
Right.
So maybe for the ladies, it's also tricky for their
Changing
career.
your name and
Yeah.
your career and when people call you. And yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, good question.
man.
What's
Great.
the deal with that? Yeah, you're right. What's the deal with that?
Yeah,
It's just an old traditional thing that we haven't been able to.
Well, does it need to be solved? I don't know. I mean, you know,
But we're men, so It doesn't affect us.
Well, it does. I wouldn't mind people knowing that I'm married.
You wouldn't mind?
Like if there was some way of saying like,
Yeah, but some people do.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you
Yes.
for the questions. If you have a question, come to 55freebird.com or come to any of our social media platforms, FBE Teacher Talk. Boom, boom, boom. And send me a contact form or a message. Say hi, say hello. Write a review on Apple Podcasts, please, and a comment on Spotify.